Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Kendall Sports Network inaugural show of False 9. Thank you to everyone who attended the soft launch, recapping the Newell's Old Boys game. Hopefully, we got all the kinks and nervousness and technical difficulties out of the way then. Uh, Today's show will definitely be about Inter Miami's last season, uh, the offseason, and everything we can expect this season. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube page. Give us a follow on X at KSN Sport. You can find us on Instagram at KSN Sportsnet. And then you'll see Mark and I's X handles down under our alongside our names. But how are you doing today, Mark?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to tomorrow's game.
Excited. I'm excited. Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely one that I feel that we have with anticipation, hopes of what can be with a full season of Messi and friends, and turning the page on what was one hell of a roller coaster ride in 2023.
Indeed. Ups and downs all over last season.
Yeah. All right. So, with that, let's get started on recapping last season. Last season, you know, uh, Phil Neville was at the helm, brimming with hope. Campana, Joseph Martinez, we were hoping to find goals. Higuain retires, and we start off 2-0.
Yeah. We start off 2-0 against two very good teams the season before. One in Philadelphia, the other in Montreal, I believe. Both 2-0 wins at home. I was present at both those games. I thought, wow, what an improvement we had made at that point. Um, from the back line play to the open field play to putting away chances, which was a big thing for us in the past. We couldn't finish chances, a lot of one goal deficits, stuff like that. So those two first games were inspiring. They gave the fan base hope. Um, just being at the stadium, it was buzzing. Like it was there was a sense of we that Inter Miami had arrived, that they were here, they were ready to make noise to make the playoffs to challenge for trophy, which is the goal in every season. But nonetheless, the season derailed after the third game.
What do you think? I mean, I feel like it was painfully obvious, but what do you think started the derailment of that promising 2-0 start?
Injuries, man. The name of the game, injuries. We were plagued by it last year. Gregory gets injured in that 1-0 defeat at NYCFC. Gregory, our rock, our captain goes down. And with every ship, the captain goes with every ship, the captain goes down with it. And that's what happened with Inter Miami. As soon as that happened, injuries just kept piling on top of one, on top of one, on top of one, until it was Franco Negri, who we lost for the season with an ACL injury. Our starting left back came in, was a pit bull for us, out. Jean Mota with a foot injury, out for an extended period of time. Campana in and out of the lineup. Um, Quarantine John ended up tearing his ACL. So all that, it was hard for the team to pick up traction, to pick up the repetitions with each other in, game out. So it was tough on Neville, to bring in a rotation and stuff like that with all these injuries and guys going down out of the lineup in the lineup, out of the lineup, in the lineup, out of the lineup. So that's eventually where I thought the season started to go downhill with those injuries, piling quickly and right. I don't know. It was like right after the other is what it felt like.
Right. No, I vividly remember guys just start going down one by one. Um, Alejandro Cepero says that Gregory should have stayed. We'll definitely hit on that.
We'll hit
We are
that
going to
later.
talk about
Yeah,
that. Trust us. The part of the season review as we go in, I feel like we're with you on that one, Alejandro.
yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. And here we have another comment. Sounds yeah,
I mean, hey, it's Miami sports, man. The Heat, the Dolphins, and Inter Miami, where injuries happen.
absolutely. So all these injuries. The one positive I thought was that Phil Neville did take uh, the the injury riddled team and took it to I mean still in Miami, but they took it to Miami FC Stadium here at FIU. Um, did pick up a win. The win featured a lot of the young guys. Noah Allen. I think Ruiz played in that game. It,
Kamasi, yeah, yeah.
it was a lot of the young guys because a lot of the veteran players kind of sat out. Um, I
Yeah,
believe it was a 1-0 win.
uh, I was at that game. Miami FC scored right off the bat, and I saw them score off a counterattack. The guy slots it in, drops his shoulder. McVay goes, sliding for a
Right.
tackle. He
Yes.
slots it, bottom left corner of calendar. Nothing you can do. We end up
Hmm.
tying the game on a header, I believe, by Schneider Borg. I want to say it's either Schneider Borgelin, Ryan Saylor off a header. One of those two guys late in the game to send it into extra time. And I think we ended up winning with Joseph Martinez scoring the winning goal. I
Was
want
it
to say.
Joseph or Leo?
I want to say, you know, Joseph or Leo. It's one of those two. I can't. I want to say Leo. I want to say Joseph, but I could be wrong.
It was the one positive in Phil Neville's tenure during that season. Uh, over the course, I think Phil went 6-10 over that stretch. You
It's tough.
mentioned
It's tough.
injuries,
It's tough.
right? That led to one of the biggest, I guess, pins to fall with Phil Neville being sacked.
That 6-10 record, that Neville firing it almost felt like it was coming. It just when was it coming? We had countless one goal defeats during that time.
Hmm.
You, I understand there were injuries, but you got to find a way to get a point at least. A- find the goal, find the point, and it's not all on Phil. Joseph Martinez isn't the same player, wasn't the same player. So
He
to
couldn't
have him up
return back to
top
the glory days from Atlanta.
at all, that ACL injury absolutely slowed him down. He's not the Joseph Martinez of 2018 scoring 33 goals in the season. It's not him. Um, so to put goals away during that time period felt like the biggest obstacle this team had ever come across. So, and in turn, those draws that could have happened, those wins that could have, come across. Yeah,
Jordan says Losif
you know,
Martinez.
he's not. I mean, listen, man, it it it, it it is where it is. He had a bad stint here. And in turn, Neville took the brunt of it, as as it is in most cases with a team struggling. The manager is always the first to go. So it felt like it was coming rather sooner rather than later.
Right. I feel that right after that Neville firing. I mean, okay, the flirtation with everybody, from the Uruguayan striker Cavani
Mhm.
to at one point Mbappe, Ronaldo.
You had Antoine
Uh,
Griezmann's name. You had Rakitich's name.
Everybody
You
was
had
coming.
everyone who had played for Barcelona, anyone who played in La Liga, anyone. You had guys floating in names left and right. I was like, what is going on?
I think Maradona at one point, right? May he rest in peace. Was rumored
Yeah,
to Inter
the
Miami
Joseph
transfer.
Maradona is going to score 50 goals for Inter Miami.
Yes, but you know,
I saw the return of Gonzalo Higuain. Hey, call him up, see what he can. The guy's retired. Just let him be.
so Neville gets fired. And like I said, all that flirtation in the past with the big name.
Hmm.
However, then comes the drop. Neville gets fired. Javier Morales takes over. The team, I think, went 1-3
Their only
during
win
that
was
time.
to Birmingham Legion FC in the Open Cup, a
A
1-0
USL
win.
team,
A USL team, yes.
right? The team did not seem to get any better. And then July 6th, we got the bomb. Messi
The
was
big
announced,
the big
confirmed.
announcement.
Yeah, he
See
was coming,
muchachos.
huh?
See muchachos. What he said in his
Yes,
intro video.
yes. It was
I think
a
it
season.
was. I think that bomb really quickly. That might have been the biggest story in American sports history, transfer history. I could say bigger than LeBron to Miami, LeBron to the Lakers, bigger than Jordan retiring and stuff. That bomb moved mountains.
What did the move signify to you? What did the move?
The
What?
ambitiousness of the club, what Jorge Mas and the Mas brothers and Beckham always wanted was to bring a soccer team to Miami, a competitive soccer team, one that's going to play their brand of football and stuff like that. So to go out and go get Messi after he won the World Cup,
Okay, yes, yes. You're
so
right. That
you know
yes.
that to bring, you know, arguably the greatest soccer player of my generation. I mean, the him and Ronaldo, the greatest soccer players of my generation. You know, you talk to other guys who are older, it's the Pelés, the Maradonas, the Cruyffs, but to
I
bring
love
that type of
Maradona, but I have a soft spot for
that
Argentina.
magnitude of a player and Messi to come to Miami shows that, you know, the club is ready to take a step forward.
Okay. Well, okay, so Messi comes, that bomb drops,
Mhm.
but then you hear that Busquets and Jordi
Busquets,
Alba are also
Jordi
coming, and it
Alba.
almost brewed a second round of, well, and then name a Barcelona player who had played with Messi and Rooney. I mean, Alejandro says don't forget Rooney. Was Rooney at one point rumored to come to Inter? I don't remember it, but he might be.
No, 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 no. I think his thing is talking about the greats of Rooney,
Oh,
you know,
oh, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
greatness of Rooney, or maybe even the magnitude of Rooney coming to the MLS, just like Beckham came to the MLS. Those were great, you know,
Oh, that's right.
names being dropped, but none of them were a Messi, to say the least.
Alex mentions Modric. Yeah, him,
Modric
and
was also, you know, rumored to have wanting, you know, they were trying to talk to him to get over here and stuff like that. So, and Sergio
so
Ramos
well,
was the other one.
yes,
They were
and
there.
I think the rumor still persists today that
Hey man, you never know.
Neymar is one of
That guy's
those
coming
names
off this.
that
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That guy needs to recover and, you know, drop a little bit of weight. He's the Saudi league's feeding him right.
right. So what? Same question. You spoke about what Messi coming to Inter Miami came. What what do you think it meant for the club for those other guys to come? And I'll give you this tidbit. News came out that both Busquets and Jordi Alba were surprised to find the physical demands that the MLS demanded from them in coming on. But what did them coming mean to the team?
That they wanted to be a part of it, be a part of uh the building of this club, the structure going forward to set that winning foundation to so you know that veteran leadership for the young guys, you know, so they can build off them. Because realistically, these guys are much older. They're in their 30s already. You know, I think the youngest one of them is Jordi Alba. So, but having Busquets and Alba come along with Messi, and then you know, obviously we'll talk about bringing in Suarez brings a bridge from the older generation of soccer to you know bringing into to bridge
The
that gap
younger,
with yes to help the Cremashi grow, to help Fagundo Farias grow, to help Campana, you know, those guys, and Robert Taylor, and you know that's what I think it meant to bring in those guys, the Busquets and Alba.
Alex Sanchez here had a question. He wanted to know what's the limit on international players on the MLS.
I believe
I think
it's
we'll touch
it,
upon that as we speak about
within, yeah, the transfers in and out.
moves.
Yeah.
Yeah, moves that have to happen from within the team in order to be able to start the season.
Yep.
But put a pin in it. We'll definitely get back. We'll get back to that comment. Um, so Messi and friends comes. Tata comes in. After shortly after that, that bomb is dropped. I think Tata's first game was with us June
St. Louis
28th.
away at St. Louis.
Yes.
Yep.
Give us a little bit of what you thought the Tata hiring signified, what it meant, just
I
what.
mean, if you watch the MLS when Tata was at Atlanta and they won the MLS Cup, and he had Joseph Martinez scoring boatloads of goals, and he had Miguel Almiron back there with him playing the 10. Atlanta United was a force. So it's Miami saw that and like, okay, he's coached at Barcelona, he's coached the Mexican national team. Granted, those two stints were not the best, I would say, especially the Mexican national team one.
Yeah.
But to have Tata Martino come in and be the director um, of this movie, to call it,
Mhm.
you're bringing a philosophy that is very for is new to these players, systematically, formation, personnel wise. So it was another ambitious hire by Inter Miami, I would say. Going after Tata Martino, who had you know been away from the game, I think, for a year already, maybe a little, maybe a little less. So that's the type of hiring that they made. They made that, let's go get Tata Martino. He's done it before. He's
Do you
he's
think
Argentinian. He's Argentinian, the whole
right?
Messi Argentina. So
That
that
was my
that
question. Do you think the Argentinian ties helped
of course,
uh,
yeah,
in that
yeah,
sense?
yeah. I would say yes.
Okay, so Tata comes in
Mhm.
and he has a 3-0 defeat. Messi's first game was, I believe,
Cruz
against
Azul.
Cruz Azul.
Yep.
Um, he comes in, uh, plays that first game. There's a lot of fresh creativity, a lot of, you know, just looseness in terms of getting out in the attack, and you see what could possibly be.
Yes.
Tight game 0-0, late challenge. And then you have that messy moment, that moment of magic.
Well, no, I
And
think the game was 1-1.
was it 1-1?
I believe we went up.
Before that,
They scored, and then Messi gets a challenge outside the box, probably 32 meters out. I would say
32,
30,
35,
32,
somewhere
30.
in there.
There's Alejandro Cepero was at that game. He has a video of the goal, I believe, that he sent me.
Oh,
But I remember watching that goal, and I was like, "He's here. He's arrived."
if Alejandro, thanks for the comment earlier. If
I think
Alejandro can
he's.
send that to us to our
I
email,
think he has
uh,
that. I'd have to ask him. I'd have to get it from him. But I remember watching that game, and I was like, "He's here. He's arrived." And he only played 45 minutes. He
right
played.
now, I remember when the challenge happened. Everyone's kind of walking around waiting. All the cell phones came out.
Yeah.
All of them.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
was brimming with anticipation. And we have here, seeing that go live was the best moment of my life. Alejandro,
That I know. I
I
know
hope
that's
you
a
don't have
lie.
kids. I'll tell you this right now. If you do or don't, that
I
could be a
know.
comment that we'd really appreciate that.
I
But
know that's a
that's a
lie.
comment that could definitely get you in trouble.
That guy's a Man United fan. I know that's not the best moment of his life.
Ooh, being called out. So we have that messy magical moment,
Hmm.
and it sparks this run. It sparks almost a little mini Linsanity, Messi mania. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
the team makes this run
Hmm.
through the
Leagues Cup.
Leagues Cup. Yeah,
Yeah.
they go 7-0, and the final result is definitely one of
The Leagues Cup
champ.
champions.
Right. What do you think? And you see it there,
Hmm.
Leagues Cup burnout.
Yep.
What did that run mean? Right. First of all, winning that first trophy, and then what do you think the fallout from that was?
So that run brought out players like Kramaski, and Robert Taylor, who to me were the second best players behind Messi in that run. Robert
Okay.
Taylor was absolutely insane. his link up play with Messi was something I've never seen before from a player who's never played with him.
Hmm.
They turned into the greatest duo in that League's Cup run. Drake Chandler was playing out of his mind in penalty shootouts as well. Kremasky balled, absolutely balled. He arrived. He cemented himself as one of the great young players in the MLS. So
Was it that semifinal game that had
it the penalties
Yeah, Alex says they put all their eggs in that basket. I
they did.
agree with that
I
comment.
agree. No, they did. They did. And Campana was also great. Campano, yes, Campana. That front three with Messi, Campana, Robert Taylor, that was special. That League's Cup run. Yes, they did put all their eggs in that basket. This is where the burnout kind of happens. In doing so, you played all these games after Messi had just come over from playing in the French league, which to me is a farmers league, and a couple of the guys in chat will agree. Um, but nonetheless, he played those games for PSG, about 30 games. He comes in for Inter Miami, gets the ball rolling, Leagues Cup games, League Cup games, League Cup games, and he's getting tackled. Like I remember against that Orlando City, he was getting
Yes,
put on the floor
it's
quite a
almost
few
like
quite a few
they
times.
took it. They
Personally,
took
yeah,
it
they
upon
said, "Hey,
themselves.
look,
Yeah,
this is the MLS, and this is we're not going to push over just because you're Messi." So
right.
I
Yes,
think
and
it
that
took
I
a
feel like
toll
that's the
on him.
first game that got real testy with.
Hmm.
I think that was the first time that I saw Messi in the MLS. Was it? Oh my God, who's the? Somebody tackled him. It was a blonde player,
Yeah, no,
and
I don't
and
think it was
Messi got
Facundo
right
Torres.
back into his face.
Yeah. Yeah. So that happened. So then Messi's body starts to take a toll as a result of the League's Cup run and playing all these minutes, playing all these games and stuff like that. So by the time we get back into MLS play, you know, you have him. He played maybe 3 MLS games. I want to say one being at New York Red Bulls, and he scored. The other one being a sub late in the season against Charlotte, and then the one in between, I can't remember what game he played. And he didn't even play the Open Cup, which was in between that Leagues Cup and the MLS Cup,
I think he
run.
was in and out.
But he was injured that game because he didn't play against Houston. So Messi picks up
Yes,
a knock, and then again, injuries are the other theme. Injuries. You can't stay healthy. It was too much of a deficit to make up at that point for
right.
us.
That League Cup, the League's Cup, kind of ushered us in to the U.S. Open Cup,
Hmm.
where we get to the final, as you said, against Houston.
Yep,
And you said in that Houston game, Messi did not play.
did not play.
Whoa, the result was
A 2-1 loss, I believe.
right with the Mexican national. I think Hector Herrera
Hector
scored.
Herrera. I don't know if it's Hector Herrera now. I can't remember who scored that game. I can't remember if it was Corey. I don't know. That game is just a blur because that game was just a production by the MLS. They had goal music for Houston Dynamo. They had their color. It was just a mess.
You think it was a the MLS was experiencing a little bit of Messi fatigue at that point? You think?
They just pushed it so much. They just pushed the whole Messi agenda way too quickly. Just Messi, 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 and just didn't let the league play out naturally. But it is what it is. With that player, with the name of Messi, that's what they're gonna do. And at that point, that Houston game, he didn't play like I said, and it was just and just a production, and unfortunately, Inter lost, and the rest is history with the way the
The
season
MLS
ended.
was happy that somebody other than Messi was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all right. So that the end of that U.S. Open final,
Hmm.
we lose in that final. We get to the end of the season. We're basically a mash unit, and I felt that the end of the season just petered out. I know Messi missed a bunch of games. Busquets was in and out. It was
Yeah.
just uber
It
disappointing
was
at
just
the
a
end of the season.
who's
Just
gonna play. Yeah, who's gonna play, who's not gonna play. Do we have enough to field 11? Um,
I, I
no,
mean,
I
if
mean,
it felt that way.
no, that's what it felt like. And you got it was just a burnout. They just burnt out as a team. That's the simplest way to put it. They couldn't
No,
overcome the large hump to get to the playoffs, to get even to the seventh seed or anything like that. So once they drew or once they lost one of those games that they needed to win, it was pretty much set.
right. So Inter Miami, and they head into the off season. Um, we won our first trophy, although some people will say it's our second trophy. I believe Inter Miami did win a preseason tournament.
Yes,
The
yes.
Charlotte's Cup, was it?
The Charleston
Charles.
something, Charleston
Yes.
Classic Cup, the preseason thing where we had
Yes.
Ariel Lassiter running down the wing.
So, although this was our first official trophy, there
Yeah,
was one Charleston Classic trophy in the case already. But after
gotta,
winning that trophy, I felt that the end of the season was very disappointing, and
yeah,
we finished second to last in what was a season filled with magical moments. But as you can see here, it really didn't bear out that way.
no,
I mean, you
we
mentioned it
we
off camera that we started three
no,
we
we started
started three
2-0.
2-0, 2-0,
We
and
were
we had
MLS came out with power rankings and they had us at 3. I was like, "What are we doing?" Like, and when we started 2-0, that their first, 2 game, their first weekly
right.
power rankings, Inter Miami, I was like, "Okay, look, we've arrived. We am I gonna say that we're gonna win the East? No. Are we gonna be competitive? Probably. That's what the team gave. But like I said, you started 2-0. You finished with 9 wins.
7 wins the rest of the way. 7
Yep.
wins in 32 games.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you this, it felt that way watching the team at times. It just
It
like
did.
there were times where
It
I went
would
into
games
games and
would drag. Games would drag.
yes, and it was going in my mind was how are we gonna fuck this up this time? How are we going to lose?
How are we gonna
Like,
have we have a draw in the 85th minute? How are we gonna let them score? How are
and
we
I'll
gonna
tell you
not
this: every
find a
single
goal?
time in my head was don't don't give him a corner because every goal was off of a corner somehow.
We'll talk about that later. Our set piece defense off a corner. But those games, going back to Joseph Martinez, as Jordan called him, Jordan Joseph Martinez had multiple chances in those games to put a goal or two away, and he just couldn't find it. Like he was missing easy chances. There he is. There
Our
he
boy
is
Jordan Lorenzo with that comment,
on
Joseph
cue.
Martinez.
Yeah, I mean, he just couldn't find it, and at times, and like, why are we not starting Campana? Campana, when healthy, Campana can score.
Listen,
Camp
I'm a Campana advocate. The more
as am
Campana
I,
I see, the more
as am I,
I feel he should be out there.
as am I. He's a 9. He can win the ball in the air. He can strike it with power. He has, touch in the box. He can hold up play. So that's where I wanted Campana to play more last year. In
To
those
me,
games that, we were trying to find a goal or something like that.
yeah, to me, one of the most and some people will use it as a knock, and I see it differently. One of the most iconic plays from Campana was late in the season. I don't remember what game it was. He had a breakaway, and he deked the keeper.
Talking about
And
against Nashville in the League Cup final,
right, oh yeah,
where he had a breakaway.
before going into extra time,
Busquets
right?
played him. Mm, Yeah, Busquets played him. He knocked it around the keeper, and then he knocked the past the keeper, tried to slide it in with his right or left. He slid with his right, tried to knock it in the near post, but he just didn't have the angle to get it.
And to me, that effort, that grit, that fight is kind of what I want to see in a forward. To me, in a striker, it's I feel that Higuain, Joseph at times were very. I'm not gonna make a run because I don't want to get tired.
I'm not
Let me
gonna
see how
chase the
this plays
ball.
off. If
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, let me see how this plays off, and if there's an opportunity, fine, I'll go. Like that, nothing is more frustrating as a fan than to see that. To me, Campana, whether he's great or not, to me is
He'll
there.
give you the effort. He's gonna give you the effort. You know that.
right, and he's a taller guy, stronger
Hmm.
guy. Like you said, wins in the air can give us a little bit of a
Hold
different
up.
look.
Yeah.
Yeah, than that Messi, who's a lot more technical. He's a lot more physical, and I feel it's something that this team needs.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. Miami finishes second to last behind Toronto, who had four lowly wins.
Mhm.
Um, and we go beaten, battered
Into the
into
offseason.
off season. Um, there's a lot of talk of, again, the rumor mill starts: who's coming, who's not. Um, the club earlier that season had made a lot of contractual moves. I believe that
Yeah.
they had
In
extended.
October.
Yeah, they extended Kamal Miller,
Come on,
gave
Miller.
him
Yeah.
a big contract extension.
Through, yep. Hmm. Through
I believe they
2026, I
gave,
believe.
yeah,
And Gregory, the
Gregory.
same
They
thing.
also gave a
Yep.
contract extension to, and you're
Hmm.
like, okay, I can see the beginnings of what they're building.
Of this,
What
yeah,
was
of
your
the
thoughts
structure.
on those long term contracts that they gave
Okay.
out?
So Kamal Miller comes over from Montreal on a trade.
Mhm. The
You know,
Canadian national.
the Canadian international. Yep. Um, to a position that Inter Miami is very, very thin at. We do not have a lot of center backs. We've gone through center backs like a revolving door. It seems.
Oh, did we lose Mark? I think we might have lost him here for a second. Yeah, he was talking about center backs. I know that Kamal was a young guy, a piece I thought that they really got to build around. Someone who was very raw, but I think
Hello?
was going to be able to. Oh, he's back. I was
I'm
talking
here.
about Kamal Miller, how he was a young guy that I thought was really going to be able to build, grow, within the team structure. Mark, are
Yes.
you there? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. So Kamal, that signing of Kamal Miller, like I said, at a position.
I think we're having a little bit of trouble with his connection there. Yeah. So Kamal Miller, they gave him an extension. Uh, yeah. Brandon says Campana's the boy. Trust me, we are Campana advocates here. We definitely want him to see the field more. Um, Inter Miami started making moves. They gave those contract extensions, and then the MLS realizes that Inter Miami is completely out of compliance. Moves start happening. You know, all of these things happen, and we do have here graphics of guys that they make moves. Where they exit the team. Here we go. We have Mark back. I was talking
Um,
about how they gave the extensions to Kamal and Gregory, and then they start making moves which at a certain point made no sense.
yeah, that Kamal Miller still strikes me. I don't know why we did that and traded him to Portland. It's a position that we need. We are thin, like I keep saying, at that position. So letting him go is very difficult for me. You know, where a guy like Sergey is a bit older, a guy like Toto's, young and aggressive, and not all he hasn't played all that many games for us and stuff like that. I think Kamal Miller was solid for us, so letting him go was head scratching to say the least. And the Gregory one was, as Alice said, Cepero, that he should have stayed. I agree. That was our guy. That was our
One
captain.
hundred
That was
percent.
our rock, the pit bull.
The
The
identity
guy,
to this team.
the
I think we may have lost Mark one more time. Um, just to point out some of the moves here on the graphic. Jake Lacava, his option was declined. We let him go. We loaned out Edson Ascona. I think news came out a couple of days ago to a Las Vegas club, and we loaned Emerson Rodriguez, I believe, out to um, Millonarios, if I'm not mistaken. And the last bit of news is that Victor Ulloa, although his contract was not renewed, his option was declined. He did decide to retire. He retired from the league. Um, I was just touching upon the Jake Lacava decline option, the Edson and Emerson Rodriguez loan, and the retirement of Ulloa. But if we can go through the rest of them, the Joseph Martinez transfer out. I think, did we lose Mark one more time? Let me see here. Let me see. But yeah, so I believe Joseph Martinez was transferred to Montreal. Kamal Miller was transferred to Portland. I know that Nicolas Stefanelli was transferred to a Hungarian team. Christopher McVeigh was, if I'm not mistaken, transferred. I'm not really sure who was transferred. I know that Gregory left to the Brazilian team in a roster compliance move, and as Mark was saying, um, that that Gregory um, that Gregory transfer it hurt a lot of fans because I believe we saw in Gregory what um, what we all wanted. Alejandro says Greg was our captain and had so much passion, and it was a mistake to let him go. We agree. I think that Mark and I both agree, and I think fans would also agree that um, him being the pitbull, him being that stalwart. I know Busquets is very technical. Busquets is very uh, you know, a talented guy, but he's a very calm demeanor, a very um, stoic, kind of calm at all times. Gregory was that fiery, you're not gonna mess with us type of personality that I think gave the team a lot of push sometimes in terms of um, you know just a lift when you needed him to be physical. Now Gregory was guaranteed yellow card every single game. You knew at some point he was going to miss a game or two throughout the season due to yellow card accumulation. Um, but definitely on board with you, Alejandro. He is, I think, um, the most kind of like our Udonis Haslam for those that are Miami Heat. Miami Heat. Um, I think we have Mark back. Can you hear us, Mark? Mark, hello. Seems we don't have him back yet. Yeah, he was our Udonis Haslam guy um, in terms of that physicality. Let's see here. Uh, After those transfers, we had uh, a lot of movement from within. From within. Oh, Mark, can you hear me? If are you back? We can't hear Mark just yet. Um, but the league had a lot of movement in terms of talent coming in and out. Um, you know, One of the biggest acquisitions was Luis Suarez. He came from Gremio and back here to Inter Miami. A big move that made a lot of news was Hugo Lloris from Tottenham being transferred to LAFC. It's a move that I don't understand. Um, maybe Mark might give us a little bit of. Alex says Mark must have spectrum. Listen, I've heard a lot of things about Spectrum. Uh, down here in Miami, he may have Xfinity. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. He may have Xfinity. Um, but Miles Robinson changes scenery, goes from Atlanta United to Cincinnati, who won the Supporters Shield. So he's going to be a big addition to them, looking to dethrone Columbus um, in that championship. Um, Emil Forsberg came from a big club in Leipzig down to New York Red Bulls. Uh, and then we have the return of two U.S. internationals from abroad. I know that Zach Steffen was, his rights were held by Man City. He was loaned out to a couple of places and just could not get any playing time. And when he got playing time, he just did not look good. So maybe a return back stateside will make him more comfortable, put him back on a path to, uh, playing well night in night out, but and even challenging Matt Turner for that number one keeper spot in the U.S. men's national team. I know that Mihailovic, big talk about his move to the Netherlands. Um, it was just not a failed attempt. He just could not thrive. He could not find his footing. It wasn't his best season. Transferred back to Colorado. Colorado finished last in the West. So they definitely stepped up and made all these moves. Hopefully, they see themselves as challenging out in the West. But two big moves to the Liga MX was we got our boy back.
Can you hear me?
Uh, yes, I
Oh
was
my gosh.
down the list of
Yeah, you
players.
probably covered everything in that time. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no, you're fine. I was about to cover the moves of Cade Cowell and Brendan Vasquez from the MLS to
Two
Liga MX.
U.S. internationals going to Liga MX,
Yeah, what
two,
what what do you see? What does that
you know,
tell you? Two big players
you
leaving
know,
the MLS, going to Liga MX.
yeah, everyone that's a U.S. men's national team fan, we don't want guys in the MLS. We want products in Europe and other leagues and stuff like that. So if this is a stepping stone for Kate Cowell and Brandon Vasquez, who maybe has an outside chance of getting in that senior team, Kate Cowell down the road, probably gets in that team. It's a good move for both of them.
Do you
I think
think that they'll use these moves to Liga MX as stepping stones to Europe, or do you think Liga
it
MX is kind of their ceiling, their cap?
you I mean, it, only time will tell, especially with Cade. Him having played with the U.S. men's youth U21 team in the U21 World Cup.
Right.
A lot of teams, scouts saw him play and stuff like that. So this could be a stepping stone for him. And I think it's a move for him to grow his game outside of the U.S. and eventually, hopefully for him and his career, takes it to Europe someday.
Okay. I said that I didn't understand the Hugo Lloris move from Tottenham to LAFC. Do you have thoughts on that?
Hugo Lloris, a short arm keeper, not tall in stature, not a great penalty stopper. You know, is he gonna produce in the MLS? Probably. He did win a World Cup with France. Is he gonna be, the next great thing in the MLS? Who knows? I mean, for LAFC, who had just won it with John McCarthy, who was an Inter Miami backup, our first 2 years,
And I'm
and then they
sorry,
had,
he was terrible here.
yeah, and then comes out, Maxime Crepeau breaks his leg in that final against, oh, who did LAFC beat? Colorado, I want to say, or New York City
It
FC, that Gareth Bale scored the header.
Yeah,
Had only played like 3 games. Probably played a round of golf before showing up to the stadium. The guy comes in and
yeah.
puts in a header.
Who
And yeah,
I want it might yeah. I think you're right.
it could have been one of those two teams. Not Colorado, because Colorado's in the West, so it's New York. I want to say, um, it
Trying to think back,
it's
and
it's that
the
that that LAFC team's weird. Now you have Aaron Long as a center back, who I do not like. I do not like Aaron Long one bit. And they lost Giorgio Chiellini. They also have no Carlos Vela and no Kellen Acosta. So what is that LAFC team made of?
Well,
It's made
Carlos
of
Carlos is a free agent. He just doesn't
yeah,
have a club.
no,
Giorgio
yeah, yeah.
retired, and
Kellen Acosta
Chicago
got
just
transferred.
signed Kellen.
Yes, yes. And then they have Dennis Bouanga, who's you know top five goal scorer in the MLS, um, season in season out. But there was speculation that he wants to transfer out. So
I'll give
Hugo's
you.
time
Can I give you a
in yeah,
comparison? And it's
go
a
for it.
question I ask.
Okay.
Do you think? I feel that these two players, Ugo and who I'm about to mention, have similar builds, similar skill sets, and one was very resurgent in the late stage of his career. Do you think Hugo Lloris has any similarities to Keylor Navas?
No, I think Keylor Navas is clear above and beyond Yoris by 10,000 steps. I mean,
Okay.
Keylor Navas came into that World Cup with Panama,
No, Costa
performed
Rica.
Costa Rica, excuse me, Costa Rica with Brian Ruiz. Um, he absolutely shined in that World Cup. Made that move to Real Madrid. Was a
Balled at Madrid.
Champions League winner. That's where people disrespect, Keylor Navas. That guy is a Champions League winner. So he has played in big games.
Late in his career. I think he
Late,
was
I mean,
39.
no, 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 no. He's not that old. He was not the youngest when he got to Madrid, but he wasn't the oldest.
No, but I think Kaylor's now somewhere in that
Oh, I
39.
mean, he might be. I don't know the exact age of Keylor Navas. I mean, I know he made a move to Nottingham Forest last year to finish the season from PSG.
Right.
Now he's back at PSG, playing, maybe cup games instead of Donnarumma. So I
Kaylor
still,
Navas 37 at the time, at present
okay.
moment.
I don't think that Hugo Lloris is ever gonna step in the same room as Keylor Navas goalkeeping wise, to me, at least to me. I'm not saying Hugo Lloris is terrible, but with Keylor Navas, I think Keylor is better. Given that he doesn't have a World Cup and all that stuff, but I think Keylor is better.
So you think this is more of a last stop for Ugo, not a
Last, I
place
mean,
where
this
he
is
can
maybe
have a
like
resurgence?
this is this is probably a last stop, I would say. If not, it's a 2-year thing. Goes back to France, plays in a club there and goes off into the sunset. So it could be the makings of a last stop.
Okay.
of,
Okay.
of a last, couple years playing.
Right. Well, we have. I was speaking about the other moves that the league had made. The Emil Forsberg transfer over from Leipzig.
Yep, coming over to New York Red Bulls.
Hmm.
It's a move that he had made. He discussed it with his family. It's time to go, time to leave Leipzig, time to go to Red Bull and stuff like that. So he's a center mid. Ball. Can play ball over the top, ball on the ground, ball in between defenders. He's gonna settle that game down for New York Red Bulls. Coming over from the Bundesliga, he has that experience. So
And then the last
I
move,
think he'll be fine.
yeah, last move to discuss is the Luis Muriel move.
That's the one I want to get to. You have a guy that was in Atalanta with Duvan Zapata a couple years ago. You know, Atalanta was putting up 4 or 5 goals a game in Serie A. They were a powerhouse in that offensive attack. And Luis Muriel and Duvan Zapata, two Colombian internationals, were at the head of it. So to come over to Orlando City, to play alongside a Duncan Maguire with a Facundo Torres, with an Ojeda, that attack is lethal now. So that gives another, you know, person to worry about in the East specifically for Inter Miami, along with Hani Mukhtar,
And a
along with
rival.
Thiago Almada.
Yes.
Um, what is the name? Gyokimakis, I believe Gyokimakis is the striker for Atlanta United who came on last season and absolutely balled. That guy might
Oh,
challenge for the
yes.
for the for the Golden Boot. So and Luciano Acosta, who plays for Cincinnati, who's the reigning MVP. I mean, you have guys left and right.
He's Mighty Mouse.
You have guys left and right that are going to cause problems, especially for our back line with all these transfers in.
Right. So Inter Miami, we discussed the transfers out.
Mhm.
We see all the moves that the MLS as a league makes. And
Yep.
then you say, well, here are the moves that Inter Miami made coming in. What is it? What do you see here? Explain to me what you think the team is thinking in terms of each one of these moves.
All right, top to bottom, we can start. Luis Suarez. You know, the resume speaks for itself. There's obviously those questions with knees. He's 39 years old, 38 years old to 39, one of the two. He has really, really bad knees. There's a lot there's like no tread left on those tires for him.
You can see it when he plays.
Yeah, you can physically, you can visibly look at him and say those knees are not right. So you bring him in to play alongside his best friend Messi and Busquets and Alba and hope that there is some sort of revival. It's not like that. You know, it's not saying that he's not going to score goals in the MLS, but I don't think, 25 goals is realistic. Can he, if he was younger, of course, yeah, that guy's putting away 40. But those knees, just not going to do it for him. Is he
What's
going
your
to be a,
expectation of him this season then?
and I would say, solely him, 15, 17 goals would be good, I think.
Okay.
And you have Messi, Taylor, Campana helping out, I don't believe it solely has to be on him, but 15, 17, if he stays healthy. If he stays
Okay.
healthy and he finishes his chances like the world class, striker he's known to be, then I can see a 15 to 17 goal season.
Okay. And what do you think about Julian coming in?
Julian Gressel, MLS Cup champion with Columbus Crew last year, has played with Tata or played under Tata at Atlanta United. Versatile defensive wingback and then winger, excuse me, midfielder, center mid. You can play out wide as a right mid. You can play out wide as a right winger. Out in the back in a five back as a right wing back. Attacking, has good instincts to drop back to come back on defense. So I think he's gonna help us in that aspect of that center mid aspect and giving Busquets maybe a little more freedom to play a little higher than he would like, and then have
Okay.
Gressel, just drop in, defensively and help out the defense and help out the back line and play in front of the back line at times. So that's where I think he's gonna be a fit for us.
Okay. Next, I want to talk about the next two guys on the list and one that's not on there simply because he wasn't a transfer in. So we have Tyler Hall, Israel Boatwright, both homegrown guys coming up to the senior team, and
Hmm.
then the draft pick, Yannick Bright.
Yes.
Give us what you think of the young guys earning senior team contracts and what you expect from them and the draft pick that we saw play with against new old boys, Yannick Bright.
So touching on Tyler and Israel, I think Israel is more ahead of Tyler right now, judging
Okay,
based off, Inter Miami 2 games and just seeing a little bit of him play.
both
I
defenders at a need
both defend
position.
both to me are insurance signings, insurance call ups, for that outside defender,
Hmm.
position. And then, like you said, Yannick Bright was uh, when he came on for Busquets in that Vissel Kobe game, and he started an NOB game, the New World's Old Boy game,
Hmm.
as a six. I thought he played very well. So I expect to see him in the mix, in the rotation at times,
Okay,
to give the older guys a bit of rest. And so that going forward, you might see Yannick Bright more than you expected. So it's a name to watch out for Inter Miami this season.
you expect to see Yannick Bright more than both. Well, you said
Yeah, I
Israel
do.
was ahead than farther ahead than
I
Tyler.
yeah,
You
I
expect to see
expect.
Yannick over Israel?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
I do.
okay. Next
Especially
is
especially with Franco Negri, starting to ramp up his training again. So that gives an outside back, you know, rest in Jordi Alba. So I think you see Franco Negri as well, giving Tyler Hall less of an opportunity to play.
Okay. I know that we have from, I believe it was Pumas, we have Nicolas Freire on loan.
Yes,
He's a center back. You saw a little
on
bit of
loan.
him against NOB. What were your thoughts, and where do you see him fitting in this team?
So his contract originally is from Pumas. He is on loan at Olympiacos. That's where he is loaned to us from right now, from
Okay.
Olympiacos through Puma. So, like, it's a center back. It's a replacement for Kamal Miller. I mean, this is why I don't know why we let go of Kamal Miller to sign Freire, to loan in Freire. But it's probably one of those things that deals with roster compliance or, salary dump or stuff like that. But he's going to be a center back who's going to play alongside. He right now is not fit for 90 minutes. It was said yesterday, and, he said it that he's nursing a quad injury. He's questionable for tomorrow. I think he might play. If he does start, he might go 50, 60 minutes, bring in Ryan Saylor to relieve him. But he gives that veteran voice, in the back to help out, Toto, who's a younger kid, to calm him down, to say the least,
Okay.
to give
Now
to give
we did
assurance to the back line.
right. Now we did have an offer extended to Franco Escobar. We
We
don't
did.
know where that's at. The one signing that is confirmed is Federico Redondo. Now,
Redondo. You
there's a
saw
lot of
that?
hype around this
Yep,
kid.
yep.
Can you explain to me what we should expect with this signing?
This is a kid who showed out for Argentina's U23 squad in the Olympic qualifiers. Um, he is a six in all its glory. He is, what Busquets was, or not what Busquets, but that position. I'm not gonna say he is what Busquets was. He is that position that Busquets played at Barcelona, the six. You win the ball, you take a defender on in the midfield, and you play it out. You play an over the top ball, you settle down the back line, you're in front of the back line, you put out fires to say, and that's what he's gonna be for us. He's gonna play hopefully in a double pivot with Busquets next to him, giving Busquets a little more freedom to venture off into the opposing midfield and find Messi, find Suarez, find Taylor and stuff like that. He is going to be a player to watch for us, like hands down. I am
But
excited for him.
he's more of a do the dirty work kind of guy, not a
He,
you're gonna
he's
score
not.
30 goals kind of guy.
No, 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 no. Can he give you a goal off a set piece? Sure, yeah, of course. But he's not. He's not going to give you 10 goals a season. He's going to stop maybe 10 goals in the season. You know, just him. But he is a player to keep your eye on.
Okay,
And touching on the
awesome.
Franco Escobar, we did reach out.
Yes.
There was no agreement by the player or anything like that. There is an offer out there for him. He is an outside back for
Mhm.
Houston, Argentinian. Surprise, surprise. So we'll see what happens with him.
Right. So with roster compliance and all of the talk in terms of
Yeah.
them needing to make moves, getting rid of guys. Going back to touching a question, do we know what the limit on international players is in the MLS?
Okay. So I saw it today, and I can't. I believe the limit is 10, 10
Okay.
or 11, and we had 11 or 12. So that's why Gregory, who took up an international slot and a DP spot, is no
Did he
longer
was
on
he
the
a DB
roster.
player? Did we buy
He
him
was
down?
a DP.
Okay.
The one that
Okay.
was not a DP or was a young designated player was Campana. He was not a full DP. Robert
Okay.
Taylor does not have a designation because he does have a green card.
Okay.
And then the other one that I thought they were going to move was Coco Jean, who is an international player. And I wouldn't be surprised if we make a move in the summer transfer window for maybe a defender or something like that. And he is one to give up the international spot.
Okay. So you think that there are still moves to make?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, yeah, yeah. Right now we're roster compliant. We're good to go for Wednesday. That was all cleared up today as the Gregory deal
Yeah.
went through. Greg
News
also
came out.
Gregory.
of
Yeah,
that.
Gregory made 900,000 last year, so that salary, you had to dump it. As much as I hate it, I MLS and the roster rules, they gotta change it. They gotta get with the
Yeah,
times and stuff like that. Like, if you have Gregory on this team with a Redondo and a Busquets, who
going
knows?
going back to what one of the comments, I don't know if you missed it, but Alejandro said
Yeah, yeah.
Gregory was
No,
our
no.
captain.
hmm
He had so much passion. It was a mistake to let him go. At the time, I said I agreed with him. What are your thoughts on that comment?
I he know Ale knows my stance on Gregory. I loved Gregory as a player. Like, just that the embodiment of Inter Miami was Gregory. That was him. He took on, the captaincy of the team. He was the voice, he was the leader. So seeing him go was rough and I'm not the only one who feels like that, who follows Inter Miami. If you ask, those hardcore fans who've been there since day one, they can probably say the same thing. So
Right.
it was tough.
So now that we've transfers in and out, um, roster compliance and all that
Good
yummy
stuff.
offseason
Yep.
stuff. Yeah, yeah,
hmm
yeah. News comes out that Inter Miami wants to go on a world tour. Play
Uh,
that's going to be their preseason, their warm ups this season. They make a trip and you know they head to different places around the world. And we have here the Inter Miami World Tour. Talk to us what you saw. Just a brief synopsis on
yeah,
what you saw in each one of the games.
a lot of goals for the opposition. Not a lot for not a lot for us. No, but El Salvador was tough. We lose Fagundo Farias to a torn ACL. Awesome,
That field was terrible.
great start to the season. But what's new? It's CONCACAF. Those fields are not great. So why even
Terrible.
go there? Why go there? Second, FC Dallas. I saw bits and pieces of. I'm pretty sure Ferreira scored on a counterattack.
I think on the top back, he scored like
On a
3 seconds
counterattack. I'm
in.
I'm sure it was a counterattack, because we give those up like they're lottery tickets. The Al Hilal game,
We
we
went
go
down
down 3
3-0 in the first
3-0 in
20
like
minutes.
first 20 minutes. I was like, what is going on? That team is first place in the Saudi league with a plus 50 goal differential. I know why we're there, because money talks, and you know
Right.
it made no sense to play those two teams in back to with 2 days apart in Al Hilal and Al Nasser. And the Al Nasser game was just a joke of a game, and they did not even have Ronaldo or Sadio Mane playing. So
Yeah, that was supposed to be
it
the
might
the
have
the
been, yeah,
Messi
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ronaldo game, but
It might have been 10-0 if Sadio Mane plays. Luckily he was at AFCON and stuff like that, so we didn't play him. Hong Kong team. Who is like no this Hong Kong team? Why are we playing a Hong Kong team? What are they get like?
our lone
Come
victory. That's
on,
why we
man.
played them so we can win one.
I mean, that game was at like 3 in the morning. I did not watch it. The same thing with Cassell Kobe. I mean, I saw highlights of that first game. The Hong Kong team. Messi didn't play, but Campana played, and the other young guys played. So it was good to get their feet wet. Get their feet running, getting ready for the season. The Vassell Kobe game. Busquets takes a hard tackle to the ankle. He gets hurt. That's where Yannick Bright steps in and plays well. And then the Newell's Old Boys game. Um, Good first half. Uh, Once we made our subs, we kind of let go of the rope, to say the least. They got a goal in like the 80 something minute.
Right.
Calendar played good. Had chances to score. Messi had some chances to score. Diego Gomez, had some chances to score. So a lot of bright spots here and there in that last game,
Any
heading into the season.
concerns in terms of results of that world tour? Being only winning one
Concerns.
time against the Hong Kong team and not really being able
I
to
mean, I would say
score or pull
as
out a result.
I would say, yeah, maybe not pulling out a result against Kobe, a result against El Salvador, a result against Dallas. So those are games that you need to win if in a preseason world tour, that if you want to be taken serious in the MLS.
Right. So that leads us to the world tour ends. Now tomorrow we have Real Salt Lake. It's the beginning of a new season, filled with hope, filled with optimism. Um, you know, and the first team we play is Real Salt Lake. Real Salt Lake's, a good team out west, and Real Salt Lake is unbeaten in the last 15 season openers. The question is,
Yeah.
can Miami snap that streak? What do you see in terms of this game between Real Salt Lake and Inter Miami?
Well, this is the first meeting between these two clubs. Real Salt Lake finished fifth last year in the West, ended up losing on penalties in game three in that best of three series to Houston. So, they are an experienced team, but they do have a lot of speed, especially with Diego Luna, Chicho Arango, and Joseph Savarino. Those three guys are the three-headed monster for their attack, to say the least. Those are the guys that, you need to, you know, put eyes on. Make sure they're not picking up the ball into space, making those runs at our center backs with, our center backs running, looking at Drake Callen, trying to find a position, where to stop them. So the counterattack with the way we play is going to be very crucial. Defending the counterattack. I
Right.
mean, Diego Luna picks up the ball. I've seen him play for U.S. men's national team. He can play down the middle as a 10. He can play out wide as a winger. Chicho Arango is their number 9. They play a dual number 9 with Savarino as well. So they all three can score. Um, it just depends on what Real Salt Lake team comes out, because they have a tendency to, just lay down and not play, or if they're up for the challenge. And given the names on our roster, I would say they might be up for the challenge tomorrow.
You think that there's still a little bit of that? Oh, we're playing Inter Miami, the team that everyone crowns as champions. Hold on, hold our beer.
There might be, but if Inter Miami want to start the season strong, they definitely have to put a stop to this nonsense of conceding late, not being able to score, and play for real, to say the least. Let's go out, let's go beat these guys. Let's go get 3 points. Let's go put in a good performance.
Okay, you mentioned Diego Luna,
Yep.
and then we've talked here and there about just the bright spots on this Inter Miami team. Um, give I'm gonna put up a graphic here.
Hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about some of the rising stars. We'll talk about the Inter Miami rising stars, just brief, because I know we've talked about them, and then give us a little bit on the rising stars that we may see throughout the MLS season.
I'll touch on the MLS guys first.
Okay.
Like I said, Diego Luna, already with Real Salt Lake and the U.S. men's youth teams and stuff like that, the U21 teams. He was on that U21 World Cup team, uh, on the ball, um, as a 10, as a winger, short guy, stout, almost like a Shaqiri-esque body type, not as big though, but like a
Right.
short,
Okay.
stout guy. Um, he looking to have a breakout season and possibly make that move like Kate Cowell did to another club outside the U.S., depending on how he plays. Next, Noel Buck, midfielder, um, U19 for, has U.S. men's and England nationality. I think he's played for England already. Um, he is a midfielder who can play any ball, come back on defense, be a ball winner. He's a box to box guy, so that's another kid to look out for. Jalen Neal is another one, defender for LA Galaxy, who Inter Miami will see in the second game of the season as we go out west. U.S. Men's International was on the Nations Cup or Gold Cup camp. I can't remember which one.
I remember him getting some time with
Yeah,
the national team.
he's gonna get some time. He's gonna get time with LA Galaxy. He's a name to watch out for those for those U.S. men's national team fans. He's a name, just as Caleb Wiley is. Left back, attacking left back, for Atlanta United. Reminds me a lot of Anthony Robinson, who plays for Fulham, who is the
Okay.
starting left back for U.S. men's national team. Similar type of body type, fast, strong, can whip in a pass. things like that. And then you have who I think is one of the better young players in the league is Thales Mango, who is a winger for NYCFC. I've seen him play when they played Inter Miami. He's always given us problems. He's looking to grow this season. I think he takes that next step.
Now, you talked about the Inter Miami guys. We know
Yep,
you spoke about Benha, Yannick. You gave us a good scouting report on Federico, and then you spoke about Israel. The one guy you haven't spoken about is Tomas Aviles. Toto.
yep.
Give us a breakdown because I feel out of all of these guys, Ben has out for 2 months with that sports hernia. The guy we're gonna see the most of at the beginning, and the guy who is going to at one point I feel be the anchor of that back line is Tomas Aviles. Give us what you think about him.
He is a young center back and young in every way. He is he has his talent is not, I mean, he's got the talent. His game is not refined. He needs to polish that up,
Okay.
specifically with the aggression. Yes, you want a center back to be aggressive, but you do not want them to be stupid. You want them to put in tackles when the tackles need to be made and not make nonsensical tackles in the open field and get a yellow card or get sent off, which in the case with him, he did a couple times last season, and you saw it. I do think he's gonna mature as the season goes on, and having that, like I said, this is where Nicolas Freire or Sergey comes into play. Having that veteran guy next to him to calm him down, to give him,
Mentor on the
the
field.
yeah, um, to give him that calming sense. Hey, just play freely, but don't lose your mind and stuff like that. I think you're gonna see Toto start to take that next step. He's only 19, so
Right.
he got room to grow. But he's
Okay.
he he's gonna be our guy that starts. I think every game at that center back position.
Okay. Now that we've touched on every aspect, we've given you what we expect Real Salt Lake game to be a little bit. Time for the hot takes. That's why we're here. Where do you see? Give me a number. Where do you see Inter Miami finishing? What, in your opinion, makes it a successful season? And what do you think will will satisfy fans in terms of where you want this team to end?
I
And do we
mean,
win a champ? And do we win against Real Salt Lake? I'm sorry.
okay. I'll start with the where I see us winning, and I'll end with a prediction of the game. Um,
Okay.
for Inter Miami to be successful, what does that entail? That first they need to stay healthy. So if all that goes to plan, I can see them realistically finishing anywhere from first to fifth in that top five of the East. I
Okay.
don't want to see us in six or seven. Five is it, it hurts to say, but if we get into five, we get into five and we make a run. But with the roster that we have and all the expectations and the target on your back, you need to perform. There are four trophies up for grabs. You have, well, if the MLS gets it right, four, but that Open Cup is still,
Yeah,
to
that
be
that
determined. So
that's
you have
that's
the
that's a
leagues,
mess all on
you
its own.
have the leagues cup, you have MLS Cup, you have the CONCACAF Champions League,
Yes, that's a big
which
one.
Inter Miami is playing in all three of those. That Leagues Cup, I'm okay not winning the Leagues Cup. It means nothing to me. You're in the MLS, win your domestic league, win the league. That's what you want from this team. That's what the goal was when Inter Miami was brought into fruition by David Beckham. We're gonna make a team that's gonna be competitive, that's gonna win the league. Go win it. You have Lionel Messi, you have Luis Suarez, Busquets, and a plethora of players who have produced, who can produce, who can compete. Now put it all together and go win the league. Now, that's where everyone says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! You're putting too much on them." I'm not. You have the roster to do it, so go do it. I mean, I mean, keep it fresh, keep the rotation steady, and then and you should be able to compete for the MLS Cup.
Okay.
I'm not saying finish first and win Supporter Shield with the record points and this and that. Finish one to five and go win the cup. because you
Okay.
never know. Like they say with the Heat, make the playoffs. You never know what's gonna happen.
Okay. So tomorrow, what? Give us what you think tomorrow happens tomorrow.
I think tomorrow, Inter Miami, settles down, has a good performance. You'll probably see a couple, lapses, mistakes here and there, maybe from the back line, maybe from the midfield. You know, I think we have enough. We have enough to win, that's for sure.
Okay.
Convincingly, yes. Will we? It just depends what team shows up, to be honest. Can we finish our chances? Can we be clinical in the final third? Is Suarez going to put away a goal? Stuff like that. I think we can win. I'll give Miami a 3-1 win tomorrow.
Okay. You heard it here, folks.
You
3-1.
gotta you
Three
gotta
one.
start off hot. You gotta start off hot.
Well, I think that wraps up this show. That remember, folks, this is a preseason, last season recap. Preseason preview was a little bit of an extended show. Our goal is moving forward every Thursday. We're going to be on live, about 45 minutes to an hour, just to kind of recap the game. Uh, that was well. Next week we'll recap the game that just played Real Salt Lake and preview the game that will be played after, and kind of touch up on any club news that happens within that time frame. Mark, where can they find you on X?
At Mark G1110 is my handle.
You can find me on at Paramount Pete. Please subscribe to the Kendall Sports Network. Social media pages. We tend to tweet out a lot about repost a lot about news of Inter Miami. There's a few of our partners that we thank them for sponsoring us and kind of shoot business their way. We appreciate everything. Hit the subscribe button, click the like, and if you like what you saw, please come back next week, Thursday, 7:30, same time. We appreciate all the fans that watched us today, the banter in the comments. It was great. Um, Thank you so much for watching. From Mark and I, we appreciate it. Have a great night, guys, and
Thank you
go
guys.
go into Miami on Wednesday.
Wednesday.